Well, folks, it is foam crashing down and it hurts inside.
Okay, a little bit out of character for your wise man, but that was a little bit difficult for me to watch. Seeing this family splinter into two groups, fighting against each other, it breaks my dark heart. But they're all grown men, and you settled the issue. Now let's give Solo credit. Forming Team Solo was, of course, his usual backup of Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, the sons of Haku, feared as one of the baddest men to ever walk planet Earth. Along with them, the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, son of Tama, also known as TK All Day, the Tonga Kid, another fearsome competitor from WWE's golden era. But did you know that Haku and Tama once comprised one of WWE's most impressive tag teams? Haku had been considered family by the Dynasty for years on end, and his teaming with Tama, brother of Rikishi, solidified this for eternity. The Islanders were a formidable test for any tag team in WWE in the late 1980s, competing against teams like the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs. Initially fan favorites, the two would embrace a more hard-nosed approach and even teamed up with WWE Hall of Famer Bobby the Brain Heenan, finding even more success. The team flawlessly merged aerial excellence, martial arts mastery, and some good old-fashioned Islander grit. Perhaps their most infamous moment saw them actually dog-nap Matilda, mascot of the British Bulldogs, showing that they were willing to do literally anything to throw opponents off their game. Both men are still revered today as two of the real legit tough guys in the industry, names that instill fear simply upon mention, and they absolutely taught their children well. Tama Tonga and Tongaloa both loved to slowly brutalize an opponent in the traditional Haku style, while Jacob Fatu hurls his body at opponents from all angles with reckless abandon, much like Islander Tama in his TK All Day heyday. For their inclusion in the 2K25 showcase, we find the Islanders in a dream match, taking on another team that has mastered the air, ground fighting, and has their own brand of swag that keeps opponents guessing at all times. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the Street Profits. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins have put together one hell of a run in WWE, and the perennial tag team champions are going to find themselves in an unfamiliar setting, taking on Haku and Tama in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. Anyone can sneak a win out, but Haku and Tama often competed in this type of match to fully demonstrate the superiority to their opponents. And you can bet that they're out to do the same thing to Angelo and Tez. So get out there and showcase the tag team mastery that the Islanders used to terrorize their opponents. Lift your party cups and take one last sip for the Street Profits. And don't worry, no one will hold you responsible for the damage you and the Islanders caused them, because I assure you, the Islanders can handle the smoke.
Bill Heyman, you can also chop it up to the fact they were in the 80s, and a lot of big matches were done 2 out of 3 falls style. But where's the fun in saying that? Well, tying to the introduction and that first little bit you saw for like 5 seconds, prior to last week's episode, well, prior to this episode coming out, and between episodes of this, professional wrestler Hulk Hogan passed away. And and it hit the wrestling world fairly hard. I know his later years did kind of affect public image, but at the same time, you know, the way I see it is it sucks. That just sucks for everyone involved. Because whether or not you like him as a person, or if you only like what he did professionally and not what he was known for more personally, the way I see it, it's like, you know, he passed away, which means someone lost a father, a husband, a son, or kind of a friend, uncle, all that. And all you see is people either A, praising them online, or dragging them. But that's not the important thing. Well, I think that honestly, it had to be, no, man, I can't even get thoughts out, because anyone who knows professional wrestling history knows it wouldn't be anything without Hulk Hogan, and to an extent, that gentleman on the screen right there in the blue jacket, Bobby the Brain Heenan, one of the biggest heel managers known to man, and always had that way to get ahead of the face wrestlers by outthinking them, outplaying them, which is why he was called the Brain Heenan. Unless you're feuding with his client, then he was Bobby the Weasel Heenan. I believe that phrase was coined by Hogan prior to going into Hogan's match with Andre at WrestleMania 3. But you know what? I'm going to stop dwelling on the past times as well on the past and present. Yeah, that worked out better. So the Islanders, big in the 80s, did a ton of the house show circuit with everything else. Haku and Tama. While I don't know much about Tama, I know a little bit about Haku. Haku is described as one of the legitimate tough men in professional wrestling, where there is this whole joke that is like, you do not pick off Haku. You pick off Haku, bad things happen. There are multiple stories that you can look up and find on like his wiki page, or like it's even craziest pro wrestling road stories like Cultaholic. They've got a handful of episodes on Crazy Road Stories that involve Haku. But let me just see if I can find one real quick, because I know there has to be one on his wiki page. Yeah. Anyway, just dragging it on, trying to find it out, but no. There was, that's one I remember. This one is kind of told a lot, so that's why I'm telling it again. He and a bunch of other wrestlers were all in an airport bar and lounge area. They were kind of, because this was in the 80s, kayfabe was still very much protected. If you're watching this and don't know what that is, kayfabe is the art of portraying everything as real. So, the Islanders were legitimately pretending they were from the island, and if they couldn't speak English on TV, they didn't speak English if you recognize them. That's the type of thing that we're doing. But the rest more Wild Samoan, but easy British. Go to it. Anywho, he was at a bar. He was a heel at the time, Haku. And he was sitting at the other side of the bar, whereas a couple of faces were on. He was on one side and a couple of faces were on the other side. And this guy kept dragging on the faces, like just egging him on. Kind of like the, you do that wrestling stuff? Well, I mean, come on, it doesn't really hurt, does it? Kind of one of those. I think after events kind of revealed that everything was scripted, but they were still keeping up appearances.
He's on that path.
So eventually this guy comes up and starts dragging on Haku. And Haku gets into a full-on bar fight and allegedly bites the dude's nose off. Yeah, he got fined and sent home from that trip, if I remember correctly, but you got a point across. That's one thing he didn't do. He never said it was fake. He argues with him. He never said it was fake. Outside, because with the Islanders, obviously, truthfully, they didn't get a whole heck of a lot. They just kind of did a little bit of views here and there, but never really won any gold. They kind of just won a Grammy Award, which is a cheap WWE award show type thing. So, kind of just, we need a way to reward our wrestlers for doing what they do best, so we're going to do this. But, onto the Street Profits. Street Profits, I would say, is definitely one of those WWE Performance Center projects. They were picked up, signed Dawkins, the cinnamon on the apron was signed first before Ford. They were kind of thrown together in an effort to get them both on TV. It worked. They kind of had a couple, they were, originally they were like jobbers and they were floating Dawkins around with a couple other partners before they picked up Ford. So, that's kind of one of those things. They put them together, the two of them hit it off. They decided, hey, we're going to keep this going. And they just ended up becoming the Street Profits, where they would just have fun, be the life of the party. Of course, nowadays they're a little more serious. They're not like the life of the party anymore, but they still keep the fun energy up. But now it's like, you can kind of change slightly evolved as wrestlers for the most part, but not necessarily still sticking with the fun atmosphere of party life. But the Street Profits are one of like 3 tag team Triple Crown champions, where they have won the NXT, the Raw, and the SmackDown championship, tag team championship, all 3 of them. So the only other 2 teams were the Revival and the New Day. The Revival, they're not in this game. They're currently in AEW as FTR. So relevantly irrelevant. But New Day, we'll get into them eventually, but arguably one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And have had a bunch of runs, and especially when they're that team they're kind of, I want to say, not really, neither like the team that they're like, this probably won't make it, but we gotta get you something. And then lightning in a bottle. But that takes care of that. Ford and Dawkins, on the other hand, no, they've never really been apart, so it's kind of hard. I can't really go into like much of their singles careers. You know, aside, because they've basically strictly done tag team work. They did have a brief stint with Bobby Lashley when he was about to leave the company, though, so they kind of went nowhere. But really, that about it. Anyway, so another WWE Hall of Famer passed away within the past weekend, Ozzy Osbourne, who, well, I think I spoke for I think I say the same as a lot of people, not speak for a lot of people, but agree with a lot of people when we're like, it's a miracle you didn't go sooner. Not on the ground that he should have gone sooner. No, but if you were to look at some of the stuff he did when he was a member of Black Sabbath and on his solo tours, you would think that he would have been in an early grave, and he wasn't. Alright, fall number 1 is taken care of now on the fall number 2. Alright. Okay, we're just gonna make this easy. Make it easy. Tap out, tap out, tap out. Come on, come on, come on. Alright, that makes it easy. That made it so much easier. Alright. Oh, that second fall took a lot faster than I anticipated. With that being said, this episode is now complete. I guess I'll catch you either next Wednesday. So this Sunday or next Wednesday is going to be the next episode of this. Because my thought process right now is I'm going to try to finish up this before I start. But next week we've got a Bloodline Gauntlet. Catch y'all then.